I was reborn together with Reese when, in our previous life, I was the adopted sister he personally chose at the orphanage and later became his wife, sharing a loving life until old age. In this life, when the Wen parents beckoned me forward just as they had in the past, the young Reese Wen stopped them. Dad, Mom, I don't want her anymore. I want this girl to be my sister. He took the hand of the girl beside me, the Wei family's adopted daughter who died young in our past life, and looked at me with icy eyes. You stole Lin Lang's life and caused her tragic death. In this lifetime, it's your turn to taste the hell she went through. I understood instantly. So this time, he wants to be the dragon-slaying hero who saves the princess. Will you come with me? I looked at the lady of the Wei family standing before me, then turned my gaze to the departing figures of the person who had been by my side for decades, now resolutely walking away with a young girl. I nodded. Fine. This lifetime, I think it's time I changed my way of living too. I walked out of the orphanage. The Wen family hadn't left yet. When they saw me, Reese Wen immediately pushed the girl into the car nervously and snarled at me. Lena Wen, even if you kneel and beg me, I won't take you with me. The Wen family doesn't welcome you. You little thief, like you should stay with the cannibalistic Wei family. He shoved me away and slammed the car door shut with a bang. I stumbled, barely managing to keep my balance. The Wen family's convoy had already sped off into the distance. The dust kicked up by the exhaust was thick, almost making it impossible for me to keep my eyes open. A black Maybach came to a stop in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing Madame Wei's cold face. Want to go to the Wen family? I shook my head. The Wei family is fine. Madame Wei was taken aback for a moment, then glanced at me indifferently. What's your name? I replied softly. Lena. From now on, you'll be called Wei Lena. Her words were brief, but I understood her meaning. I quickly got into the car and obediently said, Okay, Mom, Mrs. Wei raised an eyebrow but didn't speak, leaning back in her seat and closing her eyes to rest. I also took the hint and stopped talking. The car drove into the Wei family villa. I followed Mrs. Wei through the door, watching her set down her bag, then casually lift her gaze as if speaking to someone. Wei Yang, this is your new sister, Wei Lena. I froze for a moment. Subconsciously, I followed his gaze and looked up. Right at the railing of the second-floor atrium stood a boy whose face was even more striking than Reese Wen's, unusually delicate and handsome. I had no idea how long he had been observing from there. I was somewhat stunned. Wei Yang from the Wei family actually looks like this. In my past life, not long after I was adopted into the Wen family, Wei Yang was sent abroad by the Wei family. By the time I saw Wei Yang again, many years had passed. By then, he had already inherited the Wei family, but his appearance was marred. His fierce, almost terrifying face and ruthless methods earned him the nickname Wei the Demon in the business world. I curved my eyes into a smile and greeted him. Brother. Wei Yang, however, acted as if he hadn't heard, still leaning on the railing with an indifferent and aloof expression. Don't mind him, he doesn't like to talk. Mrs. Wei called a maid over to show me around the place, then left. As I followed the nanny and was about to step out the door, as if guided by some unseen force, I turned my head and happened to meet the boy's deathly still gaze. My heart skipped a beat. Before my smile could even form, Wei Yang was the first to avert his gaze, turning to enter the room. It's been over a month since I was brought to the Wei household. Apart from that first day at the orphanage, I haven't seen Madame Wei again. On the contrary, Wei Yang and I occasionally run into each other at the dining table. Every time, I would sweetly call out brother, but he never responded to me. Yet I didn't mind, because I was very, very busy. Although Lady Wei didn't appear, my schedule was still packed with her arrangements, etiquette lessons, dance classes, horseback riding. And it just happened to be summer vacation, from dawn till dusk every day. I was so busy I barely had time to catch my breath. Even the family nanny, Auntie Chen, looked at me with pity in her eyes as I learned horseback riding and ended up covered in bruises. Miss, should we inform Madam and take a day off today? I put on my shoes and shook my head. No need. When Madame Wei first brought me home, she had said, the Wei family's children are born to be the best. Even if you're just an adopted daughter, the young lady from the Wen family next door doesn't have to work so hard. Aunt Chen sighed and handed me the school bag. See, they've been lively all morning over there. I heard the whole family is planning to go abroad for vacation during the holiday. I know Auntie Chen said this to stand up for me. Thinking I haven't enjoyed the childhood fun I should have at this age, I stood up and took the school bag. Auntie Chen, I'm not tired. It's what I want to learn. Perhaps in others' eyes, the Wei family is hell. For me, it's not the case. The Wei family is an old money aristocracy, with heritage and resources that upstarts like the Wen family could never match. Here, I can grow better, even though the Wei family's clan relationships are complex. The Wei family doesn't accept me. Madame Wei is picky and cold, while Wei Yang remains aloof and distant. Lost in thought, I was suddenly startled by a snow-white kitten darting to my feet. Following closely was a charming yet irritated female voice. Xiao Guari, you've mistaken the person. Come back here quickly. Brother, hurry up and help me get Xiao Guari back. Silly little sister. I picked up the kitten and stood. My gaze met with the boy walking towards me, his face full of doting smiles. It's Reborn. When Reborn saw me, the smile on his face froze, his eyes filled with disgust. You actually followed me here. You just won't give up, will you? He sneered. Not bothering to hide his malice. Don't tell me you think waiting here will make me soften. Keep dreaming, Lena. When Lin Lang's delighted voice cut in, interrupting him, she walked up to me in her princess dress and said happily, How wonderful, I never thought I'd see you here after leaving the orphanage. Is that car waiting for you? She took the kitten and glanced curiously at the car parked not far behind me. At the sight, her face instantly turned pale. Oh my. You were really adopted by the Wei family next door. I was about to answer when I inadvertently noticed the keychain hanging at her collar, and my gaze paused. When Lin Lang sensed my line of sight and instinctively raised her hand to cover the pendant, pretending not to have noticed, I nodded and said, It's the Wei family, so now your surname is Wei, and you're called Wei Lena. I glanced at Reborn, who looked utterly embarrassed for misunderstanding. Amham, are all the Wei family members terrifying? I heard the young master of the Wei family is sick, a mute. Is that true? She mysteriously pointed in the direction of the Wei family and asked a series of questions. I frowned, just as I was about to retort, when Lin Lang didn't give me a chance to speak. Lena, are you learning how to shoot? She tilted her head, examining the riding and archery attire I was wearing. I still have things to do. I was just thinking of an excuse to leave when Reborn impatiently cut me off. Lin Lang, why waste words with someone like this? Let's go. When Lin Lang let out an "oh," playfully sticking out her tongue. Don't mind him. My brother isn't usually like this. He's very gentle. I don't know what's gotten into him today. Brother, wait for me. She lifted the hem of her skirt and hurried after him. I stared for a solid second before turning away as well. Behind. The conversation between Lin Lang and Reborn was carried to my ears by the wind. Brother, the Wei family is too strict. Lena is the same age as me, yet she has to attend classes every day. I saw bruises all over her body. It's so pitiful. What's the use of learning such things for a girl? Some people just aren't destined to enjoy good fortune. Our Ling Lang, in this lifetime, only needs to be as beautiful and carefree as a little princess. The daughters of the Wen family need not endure such hardships. Mom, Dad, and Big Brother are all the best. Endure hardships. Is that so? The Wen family considered hard work as suffering. I forced a smile. In my past life, the Wen parents indeed doted on me immensely. Yet they never approved of me learning any skills. I want to learn horseback archery. They objected. How could that be allowed? What if you scrape your skin and get scars? How will you ever get married then? I was being followed and wanted to learn self-defense. They refused again. No respectable family lets their daughter learn such things. The Wen family has bodyguards. No one can bully you. Later, I wanted to study commerce and finance. They also said, why learn so much? With your brother in the Wen family, that's enough. It seemed like endless indulgence. But in reality, it turned me into a dodder that could only cling to others. But Mother Wei would tell me, people from the Wei family should learn everything and strive for everything. The summer vacation passed in the blink of an eye. The start of school arrived quickly. Mother Wei had long since transferred me to the same international school as Wei Yang. It was also the school Reborn and I attended in our previous life. On the first day of school, I sat in the car early. When Wei Yang opened the car door, I greeted him with a smile. Hello, brother. Mom said we'll go to school together from now on. Wei Yang paused for a second as he got into the car. Then, without a word, she sat down in the spot farthest from me. The next day, I did the same. Day 3, on the 4th day, this continued for 2 months. I accidentally discovered that, although Wei Yang never responded to my words, but occasionally, when I was late for breakfast and rushed out of the compound in a hurry, I would find Wei Yang still waiting by the car with his backpack. I suppressed my surprise and smiled, saying, "You're so kind, brother." Every time this happened, Wei Yang would glance at me indifferently as usual, then turn his head and get into the car without a word. Just, this time, he stepped onto the car with his right foot first. I curled the corners of my lips. What a wonderful change indeed. On this day, I waited for a long time outside the school building after class, but Wei Yang never came out, and I couldn't reach him through any contact methods. Just as I was getting anxious, a sudden thought flashed through my mind. I suddenly remembered, in my previous life, at this exact time, a major incident occurred at the school gate. Back then, I was still buried in my studies, trying to catch up with the pace of the international school. Faintly, I heard classmates heatedly discussing that someone from the Wei family had come to cause trouble. It was said that something had happened to their children. Many years later, I happened to hear someone mention that Wei Yang, the head of the Wei family, had been maliciously disfigured during his high school years. Could it have been this day? Oops, there's no time left, I suddenly realized. Quickly sent a message to the driver, told him to come find us directly if he didn't see me at the school gate, then dashed toward the alley behind the school. Wei Yang, don't let anything happen. When I arrived, Wei Yang was being cornered by a few troublemakers in the alley. Haha, young Master Wei really is a mute, huh? No matter how we hit him, he won't make a sound. A mute can't tattle. Do you want the Wei family coming after you? Damn it, this brat still dares to glare at me. One of them, clearly a student, spat and pulled out a utility knife, slashing towards Wei Yang's face. My heart tightened. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted the baseball bat on the ground. I took a deep breath, psyched myself up, then charged out shouting, "I've already called the police." I rushed into the crowd, wildly swinging my baton. At that moment, I couldn't help but feel grateful for paying attention in my recent physical training classes. The thugs were caught off guard and momentarily scattered in panic under my assault. Because I mentioned calling the police, they backed off. Damn it, consider yourself lucky, kid. The group left, cursing under their breath. Once they were gone, I quickly ran over to check on Wei Yang's condition. A bloodstain was left on Wei Yang's face. Fortunately, the wound wasn't deep, though his arms and legs were injured. "Brother, hold on a little longer. I'll take you home." I helped Wei Yang up to leave, but suddenly, a fierce force kicked me to the ground. "Damn it, Brother Chen, I told you this little bean sprout was lying, calling the cops, tch. You little brat, already learning to lie at such a young age, a mute and a liar, a perfect match, ha ha ha." The man called Brother Chen was so furious that curses kept pouring out of his mouth, kicking me in the back over and over again. The pain made me involuntarily lower my head, only to meet Wei Yang's terrified gaze. My lips trembling, I forced a smile and whispered reassuringly, "Brother, don't be afraid." Wei Yang's gaze suddenly froze. I shielded Wei Yang, refusing to step back even a step. The fists behind me rained down even more furiously. Just as the next blow was about to land, Wei Yang, who had not resisted until now, suddenly moved. He lunged at the person closest to me, biting down on his hand like a madman. His sudden frenzy stunned Brother Chen and the others for a few seconds, but outnumbered, he was still pinned down. Several fists pounded hard on his head and chest, and someone even pulled out an iron rod. Still, is there really no way to change the outcome? Despair filled his heart. Voices and footsteps approached from the end of the alley. "Is it the driver uncle coming?" I struggled to open my eyes, eagerly looking. In my line of sight, a pair of white sneakers appeared. The owner of the shoes stood at the entrance of the alley, backlit by the light. Brother Chen and his men immediately glared fiercely in that direction. "Kid, what are you looking at, kid? Isn't it the driver uncle?" I strained to open my eyes wide, trying to make out the figure approaching, but the blood blurred my vision, making it impossible to see clearly. Then, someone called out to him from afar, "Brother Reese, why are you standing there motionless? The strawberry cake shop is over here." The person fell silent for a moment. Coming." I blinked my dry eyes and whispered softly, "Brother." The man paused in his steps. In the end, he didn't turn back. Slowly leading the girl away, unable to contain her curiosity, the girl peeked toward the alley entrance and immediately screamed in fright. "Ah, brother, it looks like someone's hurt over there. Did you see that?" The next second, her eyes were covered. "Don't look, it's dirty," Reeswen said softly. Far away, I seemed to hear him whisper, "Little Linglang, in this life, I found you early. I will protect your innocence. You won't have to suffer under the Wei family's torment anymore, nor end your life so hastily." In a daze, I remember in our past life, on his deathbed, he kept murmuring repeatedly, "It's all my fault, if only I had found you sooner." I thought he was talking about the accident that caused my miscarriage and subsequent infertility. Choking back tears, I comforted him, "Old man, in our next life we'll still be together, and we'll have children too." Turns out his regret from that past life had nothing to do with me. What haunted him was that he was with me that day, which prevented him from saving Wei Linlang in time. So in this life, he chose to keep her by his side, shielding her completely from harm. So today, he came here not to save me, he just wanted to witness with his own eyes how I, this thief, was being bullied in place of his beloved white moonlight. In my previous life, I vaguely heard my classmates say, after the incident with the Wei family's 2 children, Wei Yang was sent abroad. Wei Linlang, however, was not allowed to follow them out, and her treatment in the Wei family even took a turn for the worse. A girl who knew the inside story hinted at it discreetly. That day, she had seen Wei Linlang abandon Wei Yang. Wei Yang risked his life to protect Wei Linlang, but when she fled, she didn't even look back. Yet Reeswen seemed convinced that his little white flower was the victim. So, Reeswen truly believed, how pure and kind was his white moonlight. I let out a light laugh and wiped my eyes. Then I scrambled up and desperately clung to one man's leg. No matter how he kicked or cursed at me, I refused to let go. "Don't you dare hit my brother." Until that last breath could no longer sustain me. Before my eyes, complete darkness. When I woke up, a furry head was resting by the bedside, the pungent smell of disinfectant. I realized, I was in the hospital. It seemed the driver uncle had brought people to help. I tried to sit up, but the movement must have been too loud. Waking Wei Yang, he opened his beautiful peach blossom eyes and stared at me unblinkingly. After a long while, he raised his hand and gently touched the gauze on my forehead. "Little sister, does it hurt?" It seemed as if he hadn't spoken in a very, very long time. His voice was still somewhat hoarse, but not unpleasant. In fact, one might even say it was quite pleasant, but I was still shocked. Wei Yang actually spoke to me, not just me. Everyone was startled. Even Wei Yang's mother, who happened to walk in at that moment, looked utterly incredulous. Did Xiao Yang just speak? She lost her usual composure. "Xiao Yang, won't you say a few words to your mother too?" Wei Yang merely glanced at her before turning back to stare at my wound, refusing to speak another word. I suddenly felt rather awkward, wanting to offer comfort but unsure where to begin. "Mom, just now my brother Mother Wei shook her head, her eyes reddening. "It's all right, take it slow, Xiaoyan needs time." She didn't continue. Aunt Chen from behind came in at the right moment carrying a lunchbox. During lunchtime, Auntie Chen said the incident at the alley entrance had been investigated. It turned out to be nothing more than a group of local troublemakers who, upon hearing the Wei family was wealthy, got greedy. Shockingly, one of them was even a student from the same school. Those young men were already adults and couldn't escape prison time. While the student involved had been punished with expulsion, I nodded, my gaze resting on Wei Yang, who was eating quietly. Who would have thought, in the previous life, just because of a fleeting wicked thought from these societal scum, such a beautiful person was dragged into the abyss. Fortunately, in this life, he is doing well. Wei Yang noticed I wasn't picking up my chopsticks and looked at me curiously. "Little sister, eat." I snapped out of my thoughts and served him some food. "Brother, you eat too." "Just finished eating." Wei Yang was caught and taken back by the nurse who barged in. Only then did I realize, he had run over from another ward. Before leaving, he patted my head and said, "Little sister, get well soon." Just a few simple words, yet they moved the Wei family members present to tears. Aunt Chen also secretly wiped the corners of her eyes. Wei Yang left. Wei's mother didn't leave, she just stood there, watching Wei Yang's retreating figure. She wasn't wearing makeup today, and her whole demeanor seemed to have instantly softened, appearing much gentler. Wei Yang wasn't like this before. He is very sensible, composed, and far more outstanding than many of his peers, back then. Everyone praised him as a prodigy, not as a mute, autistic child. She sat down beside me, tears glistening in her eyes, all because of that accident 4 years ago. I froze. Mother Wei said, Wei Yang once had a younger sister, Wei Shu. Wei Shu was the daughter of Wei's father's younger brother. After Wei's father and his younger brother and their wives passed away in an accident in their early years, the entire Wei family relied solely on Mother Wei to hold everything together. Wei Shu was also taken home by her mother-in-law and raised as a beloved daughter. During that time, life was very difficult for the Wei family. With the loss of Wei's father, the Wei family became like a piece of fat meat left out in the open, tempting everyone to take a bite. Wei's mother had no choice but to harden her heart, adopting increasingly ruthless methods, which naturally earned her many enemies. 4 years ago, the Wei siblings were kidnapped. 6-year-old Wei Shu, seeing his brother being beaten, rushed forward and bit the kidnapper's hand fiercely, refusing to let go, but the enraged criminal struck his head repeatedly with a heavy club. Wei Yang witnessed the entire ordeal. After being rescued, never smiled or spoke again. Mrs. Wei tried every method, but to no avail. Left with no choice, she followed a friend's advice and decided to adopt a little sister to see if it would help. Mrs. Wei stood up and walked to the window. She said, I wasn't the first one to be adopted. Xiao Yang hasn't been this close to anyone in a long time. He really likes you. A week later, I was discharged from the hospital and returned to the Wei family. The attitude of those around me had changed. If before, they saw me as a dispensable foster daughter who could be sent away at any moment, now, they treat me as a true young lady of the Wei family. But my lessons haven't decreased because of this. In fact, they've increased. As Mother Wei put it, if you're going to join the Wei family in the future, how will you command respect without any skills? The Wei family members present were all shocked upon hearing this. Their gazes toward me were filled with wariness and scrutiny. I had no time to dwell on it. Instead, looking at Wei Yang in a panic, afraid he might be unhappy about it, only to find him resting his chin on his hand, staring at me, and stammering, Little sister, don't be afraid, the best. Looking into Wei Yang's sparkling eyes, my eyes moistened as I nodded vigorously. Mother Wei's eyes also softened. Yang, you need to work hard too. Be careful not to be surpassed by Lena, or you'll have to rely on your little sister to protect you in the future. No. Upon hearing this, Wei Yang immediately stood up in a fluster. I'll protect my little sister. He even demonstrated a set of martial arts moves on the spot. Ever since that incident at school, Wei Yang has been practicing martial arts with even greater dedication. I exchanged a glance with Wei's mother, and we both burst into laughter. Looking at Wei Yang's anxious face, I curved my lips into a smile. Wei's mother once said, Yang is lucky to have you, this lifetime, arriving at the Wei family. Isn't this my good fortune as well? Time flies. Under the Wei family's dedicated nurturing, I became the child of other families that many parents spoke of on the school honor roll. Occasionally, my name would appear alongside that of Wei Yang, a senior. In contrast, when Lin Lang, who had been a top student in her previous life, was too busy having fun to ever make the list. As for Reese Wen, who was an underachiever in both lifetimes, needless to say, he never stood a chance. The relationship between the Wei and Wen families had always been distant. It seemed that in this lifetime, Reese Wen and I were destined to have no further connection. Only by chance a few times, while checking the rankings, I caught a glimpse of Reese when standing at the back of the crowd, his expression unreadable. Brother, what are you staring at over there? Our names aren't written on that. When Lin Lang looked utterly puzzled, nothing much. By the time I turned back, he had already taken Wen Lin Lang away. On such days, I turned 18 and was about to take the college entrance exam. Wei Yang, on the other hand, had accepted an invitation from a foreign school 3 years earlier. Now he is studying abroad. The day of my college entrance exam, despite my repeated refusals, Wei Yang still abandoned his research project and rushed back overnight to accompany me for the exam. My little sister's matters are the most important. Helpless, I could only comply. Finished the last exam, I walked out of the school. In the distance, I saw Wei Yang leaning against the car, dressed in black casual clothes. His superior appearance attracted the attention of many around him. My wish to keep a low profile was shattered, just as I suspected, wherever Wei Yang was. It was impossible not to cause a commotion. He was no longer the little mute boy everyone used to mock. Now, with his noble and refined demeanor, he could easily make the girls who passed by blush. I quickly stepped forward to urge him on. "Brother, hurry up." Although Wei Yang was puzzled, he obediently took my school bag. "Coming to pick you up." Not happy. I had no time to explain, quickly pushing him into the car. "No, didn't we also make plans with friends? If we're late, everyone will have something to say." We arranged to meet up with some childhood friends for a gathering, to celebrate my brother's return to the country, and also to mark the end of my college entrance exams. After the gathering, someone in the group suggested going to the racetrack for a couple of laps. Wei Yang and I had nothing to do, so we followed along. Racetrack, a small entertainment race was taking place inside. "Who's the winner?" The friend traveling with him looked at the big screen and exclaimed in surprise. "Reborn, he's back in the country too, and into racing. Is he any good?" Reborn's academic performance was average. Like Wei Yang, he didn't take the college entrance exams. But unlike Wei Yang, he went abroad to obtain a less prestigious degree. After all, as the heir of the Wen family, he was still recognizable. In an instant, everyone's attention shifted toward him. As if to answer our doubts, the flamboyant red race car crossed the finish line. The man stepped out of the car, squinting as he basked in the cheers of the crowd. Years had passed since we last met, and he had shed his youthful naivety. He's becoming more and more like the him from his past life. In the family and friends seating area, the girl, holding up her skirt, dashed out and planted a kiss on the man. "Brother Reese, you're so handsome." Their relationship was clearly defined, in my past life, as the publicly acknowledged adopted daughter of the Wen family. I faced many obstacles when getting together with Reese Wen. This lifetime, I don't know how Reese Wen convinced the Wen parents, but Wen Linlang was never officially recognized as the adopted daughter of the Wen family. To the outside world, she was introduced as the daughter of a family friend who was staying temporarily. Looking back now, it was indeed a well-intentioned arrangement. At this moment, the combination of a handsome man and a beautiful woman completely ignited the atmosphere. A friend clicked their tongue in disapproval. "Looks like the Wen family has booked the place for today. Let's go, time to change venues." I averted my gaze and was about to follow the others to leave. A commotion broke out ahead. Reese Wen, holding Wen Linlang's hand, walked over surrounded by a crowd. The two groups unexpectedly ran into each other. Reese Wen's gaze swept over the crowd and landed on me, a flicker of astonishment flashing in his eyes. He froze for a moment, then, as if avoiding impropriety, he released Wen Linlang's hand. "Brother." Wen Linlang let out a displeased cry and turned to glare at me. "Why are you here, Wei Lena?" She scrutinizes me, after not seeing each other for a while. Her gaze toward me suddenly fills with hostility. Just as I find it strange, she speaks again. "Could it be, you heard that Brother Reese returned to the country and came specifically to watch his match?" Beside me, Reese Wen paused at these words, his gaze sweeping over me nonchalantly, as if to say, "I knew it." I was speechless. Am I really that boring? Wei Yang also furrowed his brows. He stepped forward, his tall frame completely blocking me. Reese Wen noticed Wei Yang's movement, his eyes darkening as he finally spoke, in a calm tone. "Lena." Linlang speaks bluntly. "Don't take it to heart, brother." When Linlang refused to let it go, stomping her foot. "Why are you being so polite to her? Who knows if she's deliberately following us?" Linlang. "That's enough," Reese Wen interrupted in a low voice, his gaze involuntarily drifting toward me behind Wei Yang once again. "Even if it's true, don't ruin someone's reputation." He was startled to realize, after not seeing each other for years, I had changed a lot too. The demeanor cultivated by the Wei family is something that the petty Wen Linlang could never hope to match. Wen Xiao, keep your precious sister in check. She shouldn't be biting at everyone she sees, one of the friends, unable to stand the behavior of the Wen siblings, scoffed and said, "Lena is here to celebrate the end of the college entrance exams, not to watch some, well, your little amateurish entertainment match." The sarcasm in the words was evident. "What do you mean by this?" When Linlang immediately widened her eyes. "Brother Reese just won first place. And you call it child's play? Reese Wen's expression darkened slightly. He had just basked in the glory of victory. So it's understandable that he's feeling hot-headed now that he's being mocked. Wei Xiao, what a rare encounter in a place like this. The last race wasn't quite satisfying. Care for another match? He completely ignored the others, his gaze fixed intently on Wei Yang. Wei Yang frowned and was about to step forward, but I grabbed his arm and shook my head. I don't want to argue with Reese Wen. Seeing this, Reese Wen chuckled and said, "If you don't dare, then forget it," utterly provocative. The air seemed to freeze, the expressions on my friends' faces were grim, yet none dared to step up for Wei Yang. They knew all too well that Wei Yang hadn't touched a racing car in years. I remained calm, releasing my grip. Wei Yang also reached out, ruffling my hair. "Do you want to see your brother win?" I nodded and said with a smile, "Go, brother." Wei Yang turned and walked toward the competition field without even glancing at Reese Wen. Reese Wen had never been ignored like this before. His face darkened as if it could drip with gloom. Putting on airs, he gritted his teeth and spat out a few words, his face black with anger as he strode toward his car. On the racetrack, the gunshot rang out. Reese Wen's iconic red race car shot forward instantly, leaving Wei Yang's black racer trailing behind. The roar of the engines was deafening. If some people can't handle it, they should just go back to being obedient bookworms. No need to puff themselves up beyond their abilities. When Lin Lang glanced at me and said triumphantly, "It's only the beginning. What are you so proud of? You're already falling behind at the start, and you still think you can catch up to Brother Reese." The people around all chimed in agreement. The friends were hopping mad but couldn't refute. I watched the race quietly without saying a word, until, at a high-speed corner, the black car executed a textbook-perfect late-braking maneuver, overtook the red car, and crossed the finish line first. The racetrack fell silent. When Lin Lang also fell silent, someone in the crowd hesitated and spoke. "That person's cornering technique looks familiar, like last year's Triple Crown champion, God W." He spoke very softly, seems not quite convinced. I remained quiet, without much expression. At the age of 11, Wei Yang won the International Youth Cup and was hailed as the young racing prodigy. Even though there was a break in between, he had long since picked it back up in recent years. Last year, he swept all 3 major championships. It's just that he's low-key and never shows his face, so few have seen his true appearance. Wei Yang pushed open the car door and walked straight up to me, extending his hand. "Little sister, let's go home." "All right." I smiled and took Wei Yang's arm. Behind, it was when Lin Lang's flustered words of comfort, and Reese Wen's face, twisted with anger. In the blink of an eye, the college entrance exam results were out. I was the top scorer in the college entrance exam. I wasn't surprised, but Wei's mother and Wei Yang were overjoyed. They said once the university admission letter arrives, they would take me on an overseas trip. I said there are still many classes left to attend. Wei Yang frowned. "Lena, you're too tense. You should go out and relax." Mother Wei also said, "No matter how bad it gets, the Wei family will always have your back. Understand?" I was slightly taken aback. It hit me hard. Perhaps since my rebirth, I've been pushing myself too hard. So it turns out, not being firmly chosen by Reese Wen after my rebirth hurt me far more deeply than I had imagined. That's why I've been pushing myself almost harshly, striving to gain the recognition of the Wei family. Afraid, abandoned once again, I looked into the 2 pairs of concerned eyes before me. Warmth blossomed in my heart. In the end, I yielded to them. The day we left for the airport, we ran into the Wen family. The atmosphere between them didn't seem very good. Mr. and Mrs. Wen had dark expressions on their faces. Reese Wen's expression was also indifferent. When Lin Lang followed Reese Wen reluctantly, unusually silent. When Lin Lang cheated on the college entrance exam and had her scores revoked, now the Wen family has become a laughingstock among the elite. Mrs. Wei withdrew her gaze and said with a smile, "Afraid of losing face, isn't it?" They couldn't even wait for the school term to start before hastily sending the person abroad, trying to quell the storm. I was a bit surprised. Has Wen Lin Lang gone mad? What was she thinking? To be so bold, given her situation, just get a fake degree abroad and be done with it. Why take such risks? I shook my head, too lazy to delve deeper. What does it have to do with me anyway? Boarding time. I noticed a gaze resting upon me. I turned my head to look, and there, not far away, was Reese Wen, caught red-handed by me. He froze for a second, his gaze complicated. Congratulations, the top scorer in the college entrance exam. Thank you. I turned my head back indifferently. Reese froze again, then stepped forward, seemingly eager to chase after me, Lena, but when Lin Lang grabbed hold of him and wouldn't let go, glaring at me with venom. Brother, she doesn't even want to acknowledge you, let go. Reese wouldn't listen and shook off Lin Lang with a jerk. When Lin Lang fell to the ground in a disheveled state, and the long-suppressed grievances finally erupted, she didn't understand. Her brother, who had always doted on her, had become so distant toward her recently. Are you regretting it now? But clearly, you were the one who abandoned her first. A single sentence rooted Reese's feet firmly to the spot. It's my turn in line. I didn't look back. Following the Wei family, I entered the boarding gate. Hawaii, here we come. Day by day passes. Entering university, I continuously absorb new knowledge and gradually learn to transform and master the resources at hand. During my sophomore year, I began forming my own research team. Every member of the team is outstanding, no less capable than I am, to support me. Wei's mother entrusted me with the full operation of a relatively small subsidiary under the Wei family's banner. The team's first project achieved excellent results, pushing the subsidiary to new heights. Several subsequent scientific research achievements. It even allowed the subsidiary to catch up with the parent company several times. As a rising star in business, I began to enter the spotlight of various parties. When I graduated, Wei Yang returned to China and officially joined the headquarters of Wei Corporation. Many people were waiting to see the conflict between the eldest son of the Wei family and his adopted sister. They thought that since Wei Yang returned to the country and directly entered the headquarters, while I only inherited a subsidiary, I would inevitably be discontent. However, I was not. Instead, I fully supported Wei Yang, with the support of both myself and Wei's mother. As well as his own outstanding abilities, Wei Yang quickly established a firm footing. At the same time, the Wei Group issued a statement announcing that the subsidiary under my control would henceforth separate from the Wei Group and be renamed Mingyu Group. That day, the fireworks on the rooftop of Mingyu Group blazed all night. Wei Yang stood beside me. He said, Lena, remember, the Wei family will always be Mingyu Group's strongest support. That's not necessarily true. I blinked and teased him mischievously. Who knows, perhaps in the future, Mingyu will be the Wei family's strongest support. Brother, Wei Yang replied with a smile. Yes, little sister is the most capable. I turned my head to the side, gazing at the neon lights beneath my feet. I smiled. This was my deal with Wei's mother. The bright moon is mine, and I will always support Wei Yang. Just one subsidiary. I thought you'd want something else, like half of the Wei family's assets, at that time. Wei's mother raised an eyebrow. Who knows, maybe Mom would agree to it. No, I shook my head. What I want is something that belongs solely to me, completely to Wei Lena. Having lived 2 lives, I firmly believe, only what is completely in my grasp can be controlled. One, I was honored as an outstanding graduate, invited by my alma mater to participate in an equestrian archery competition, representing the school in the event. For me, such competitions are nothing more than rare moments of relaxation amidst a busy work life. No surprise, I easily won the championship. After stepping off the podium, school officials surrounded me in layers. I barely managed to break free. I was stopped by someone again. Lena, Reese is here too. Come to think of it, this is our first meeting since he returned to China to take over the Wen family business. He ignored Lin Lang's resentful expression, walked up to me, and examined my riding attire with astonishment. You have become even more outstanding. His gaze held admiration, regret, and remorse. Suddenly, I felt this look was all too familiar. In my past life, I accompanied him to a banquet. Wei Linlang, the adopted daughter of the Wei family, took the stage and played a piano piece. Back then, the way he looked at her was exactly the same. For a moment, I wanted to laugh. Living a second life, Reese Wen's preferences still haven't changed, always fond of what he can't obtain. Looking at the disheartened man before me, I nodded politely as a greeting. His footsteps never ceased. He refused to let me leave, blocking my path with an inscrutable expression. If I said we could start over, that you'd still be my sister, I didn't understand what he meant. Does he take himself too seriously? I coldly interrupted. I don't understand what you're talking about, President Wen. If you're too idle, perhaps you should focus more on the Wen Corporation. Reese Wen's face darkened instantly. As far as I know, this period, Wen's group is in trouble, with its stock price plummeting. In my past life, Wen's group has also faced such a crisis before. Reese Wen cares about saving face. Back then, I dredged up the meager affection from our childhood and pleaded before Wei Yang, who had already become the Wei the Hell judge. Only then did I secure his assistance. This life, the reborn Reese Wen had indeed made preparations in advance. Unfortunately, the Wen family's foundation had long been rotten to the core. This time, without the Wei family's assistance, his abilities were limited. He couldn't protect it. The Wen family, dangerous. I can't be bothered to argue with him anymore. I turned around to leave directly. Lena Wei, Reese and I are about to get engaged. Could you stay away from us and stop showing up all the time? Ignored all along. When Lin Lang went berserk and rushed over to stop me, Reese Wen shoved her away. What's gotten into you? You can't help me with anything, so can't you at least stop causing trouble? Reese Wen frowned deeply in anger. When Lin Lang was thrown to the ground, she stared at Reese Wen in disbelief, watching the disgust and disdain in his eyes, until the last glimmer of hope within her shattered completely. I'm causing trouble. When Lin Lang suddenly burst into hysterical laughter, pointing at Reese Wen, then at me. Reese Wen, you regret it now, don't you? What? You think she'd still be willing to come back to you? She's Wei Lena now. Who do you think you are? This time, it was you who chose to take me away first. How dare you be the one to grow tired? I finally understood. So, when Lin Lang has returned as well, no wonder she would go crazy like this. Shut up. Reese Wen glanced at me in panic and pulled Wen Lin Lang up. Sorry, my sister made a fool of herself in front of you. What did you just call me? Little sister. We're about to get engaged. And you're calling me little sister? When Lin Lang refused to back down and shouted loudly, Reese Wen frowned but still suppressed his anger and explained in a low voice. When Lin Lang wouldn't listen at all, the argument between the two grew even more intense. I pretended not to understand a thing. I quickly walked out of the venue. Only after getting into Wei Yang's car did I finally let out a deep sigh of relief. He asked with a smile, "What's the matter? Was there a ghost chasing you?" I nodded with great seriousness. It's real and terrifying. Who could deny it? Even attending an event, I ran into them. What rotten luck. The Bright Moon Group is experiencing rapid development, coupled with cross-industry collaboration with the Wei family. It's a powerful alliance. The achievements are remarkable. I've become the rising star in the circle, synonymous with success. Nowadays, when people mention me, it's no longer that adopted daughter of the Wei family, but Wei Lena of the Mingyu Group. As for the Wen family, they've declined significantly. I heard they've sold off many assets and even transferred a considerable portion of their shares. Even if I considered the nurturing grace from our past lives and restrained the Wei family and the Bright Moon Group from taking advantage of the Wen family's downfall like other aristocratic families did, I barely managed to preserve their foundation. I saw Reese Wen again. It was at a project bidding meeting. I sat on the judging panel. Reese Wen sat below with Wen Lin Lang. He glanced at me from afar, then awkwardly averted his gaze. Once a prominent family, the Wen clan had now been reduced to just one of many bidders. I averted my gaze and stopped paying attention. During the meeting's intermission, I went to the restroom. While washing my hands, when Lin Lang quietly appeared behind me. "Let's talk." I glanced at her, wiped my hands, and walked to the adjacent lounge. She followed. "So you've come back too, haven't you? Does it matter?" I asked. She paused mid-step, raising her voice. "Reese Wen left you and chose me. Doesn't that bother you at all?" My expression remained indifferent. "Heh, he pushed you into that damned Wei family, knowing full well how hypocritical Madame Wei is. And that Wei Yang is far from being a good man. Watch your words. Now you're defending the Wei family." She glanced at me and sneered. "Oh, I forgot. Now you're the esteemed Miss Wei. Able to make the Wei family treasure you. Quite the schemer, aren't you? Feelings are mutual. How you treat others is how they'll treat you." I replied calmly. "Ha, right. You know what? I can't stand your holier-than-thou attitude the most. Why, in your past life, you were taken in by the Wen family, raised in such a privileged environment, even married to Brother Reese. And now, even after being sent to that hellhole of the Wei family, you still managed to win their love. Even Brother Reese's attention was stolen by you. Why, what exactly did I lose to you? I watched when Lin Lang's frenzied state and cautiously took a step back. You've misunderstood. Reese Wen only likes you. Aren't they about to get engaged? Hearing this, she threw her head back and laughed uproariously. Do you like me? But the one he can't forget isn't me at all. It's the original owner of this necklace. It's you, Wei Lena. She yanked the key pendant from her neck, forcing a smile uglier than tears. Do you remember, when we were kids, you saved a drowning boy outside the orphanage? He was dressed so richly, so when you went to find Matron, his family came looking. I pretended to be you and took this necklace. He said he'd come back. I waited and waited, only to see him bring you back to the Wen family. I just couldn't stand to see you happy, so I deliberately hinted in front of Brother Reese, and he was tempted too, but later, she said bitterly, I just accidentally let slip a bit of information, and Mrs. Wei wanted to kick me out. That psycho Wei Yang even wanted to beat me to death. He did it on purpose. He resented me for abandoning him at the alley. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have run out, and none of this would have happened. Fortunately, everything can start over. But now, Brother Reese says he doesn't want to get engaged to me anymore, even though his eyes used to be only on me. At this moment, I completely understand the meaning behind Reese Wen's words in my past life. To find you sooner, pity, when Lin Lang is still naive. What Reese Wen can't forget was never me, Wei Lena. What he loves is the unattainable Miss Wei, whether that person is Wei Lena or Wei Lin Lang, in her past life. When Lin Lang was the daughter of the Wei family, even if she wasn't favored, that halo and upbringing were genuine, like a white moon hanging high in the sky. In this life, their roles have reversed. The unattainable light in his eyes has now shifted to me. I looked past her at Reese Wen, who had appeared behind her at some point, his face filled with shock, shook his head. You're wrong. What did I do wrong? Who are you to stand on your high horse and accuse me? When Lin Lang's incessant chatter was abruptly cut off by Reese Wen's furious roar. You lied to me, you bitch. If I hadn't chosen you, how could I have ended up in this situation? His eyes were wide with rage, gasping for breath as he glared fixedly at Wen Lin Lang. The storm came suddenly. I hurried outside and closed the lounge door behind me. At the end of the corridor, Wei Yang stood there against the light, as if he had been waiting for me for a long time, yet without a trace of impatience. I hurried forward. Brother, let's go. When Lin Lang stole the Wen family's internal documents and gave them to their rivals, the Wen family was in turmoil, almost collapsing. Because Reese Wen refused to agree to marry her and even discussed with the Wen parents about sending her away for a political marriage, when Lin Lang went completely mad, with a mindset of if I can't have it, I'll destroy it, she took extreme measures and defected to the rival family. Less than 2 months before the auction, I heard such news. As for stealing the documents, I wasn't surprised, whether in my past life or this one, when Lin Lang's true colors are indeed still the same. I heard about this matter from Wei Yang. Just laugh it off and let it go. I didn't expect the Wen family to have another incident. Reese Wen was admitted to the hospital. He was stabbed by Wen Lin Lang. So it's said, that day, when Lin Lang didn't run far, she was caught by the Wen family. The Wen family, being kind-hearted, initially wanted to talk to her and persuade her to mend her ways. To their surprise, Wen Lin Lang not only refused to listen but also pulled out a knife and stabbed the Wen mother, who had always doted on her since childhood. It's all your fault, you old witch. If you hadn't given Reese that idea, how could he have been willing to let me marry someone else? Reese Wen rushed forward to block. Even if Wen Lin Lang wanted to withdraw the knife, it was too late. Now Reese Wen lies in the hospital, his condition unknown between life and death. The Wen family showed no mercy at all and directly sent her to the police station. Stealing trade secrets, attempted murder. Wen Lin Lang's remaining years will likely be spent behind bars. 2 years later, the Mingyu group officially went public overseas. The Wei family held a grand celebration banquet for me, inviting countless celebrities from the political and business circles to attend. With a graceful smile, I effortlessly conversed with the big shots from various fields. I was surrounded and flattered by the crowd. My gaze unintentionally drifted to the corner. There I saw Reese Wen, looking utterly uneasy. His suit was still impeccably tailored, though the style was long outdated, and signs of wear could even be seen at the edges. I just took a glance, then averted my eyes. The Wen family's attendance at the banquet was the result of Wen's mother begging for the favor. The dinner party was attended by numerous big shots, all eager to seize the opportunity once again. Out of consideration for their past as neighbors, Mrs. Wei relented. The Wen family is now drowning in debt. They had long since moved out of the villa district. The time for the ball. I declined many invitations. As the guests dispersed, I stepped out onto the balcony alone, hoping to steal a breath of fresh air. The evening breeze brushed against my face with a cool touch. I was lost in thought. Reborn had quietly approached at some point. "Lena," he gazed at me with infatuation, "you've actually come back too, haven't you? We've been together for so many years. You can't fool me." The night breeze seemed to pause for a second. His voice was very low. "Back at the orphanage, you could have acknowledged me willingly." "Why?" I turned around and looked at him calmly. "I just wanted to choose a path without you. And you did the same, didn't you?" The words struck Reborn's heart like a cold, sharp blade. He staggered backward, his face as pale as paper under the moonlight, his lips trembling as if trying to refute me. Yet not a single word could escape. Yeah, he was the one who chose a different path first. What reason does he even have left to question me? He turned around in utter despair, his back hunched, as if all his strength had been drained in an instant, until his figure completely vanished from sight. I never looked away. "Lena." A low, hoarse voice came from behind. I turned around to look at Wei Yang. He walked over, subtly glancing in the direction where Reborn had just left. Then, he handed me a cup of warm honey water. "Tired?" he asked softly, his tone filled with pure concern. I took the cup, gazing at Wei Yanqing's strikingly handsome profile. Then I looked toward the banquet hall, where Wei's mother was gracefully conversing with others. "Not tired?" I shook my head, curled my lips, and gently leaned my head against Wei Yang's shoulder. "Brother, do you know, my life has been truly wonderful. I have a mother who, though strict, deeply respects me. There's always an elder brother standing in front of me, shielding me from the wind and rain. The warmth at this moment is within reach. Utterly real. Those hardships and betrayals are all in the past. This lifetime. Wish me brilliance."